Hey everybody, welcome to a late night Houston After Dark version of Houston with a problem. Man, I spent all day doing lots of errands. Not too up to date on what news is happening. And but I did see that Mitch McConnell basically got yelled at by some big industry types, and all of a sudden he's like, "Whoa, maybe we'll get this debt ceiling passed." Yeah, I think one of the big wigs at Raytheon was basically said, "Hey, why are you giving China this win and crashing our entire economy?" Mitch McConnell's like, "Uh-oh, they're one of my largest donors." So, we're waiting for that. Chekuseki right off the bat. I saw a news update that Biden will be issuing a commemorative $1 trillion Citadel coin made of tempered mayonnaise to eliminate our debt. Oh, well, got to freeze it to make sure it's going to maintain its form, I guess. So there's still a chance that the debt ceiling may get raised. The numbers were very low. We were under $100 billion left in the bank. We had spent $45 billion today alone. So, we might not make it to the 18th. The 18th was an estimation, but we'll see. We'll see how far we make it here. Yeah. There's goodness, there's a lot of chit chat in here. I don't have anything prepared today to talk about. I just threw it out there and just see what you guys are up to. I'm getting ready to go back to Hawaii, so that is what I'm working on at the moment. So trying to get that ready, plan that trip out. Let's see here. People talking about taxes. Yes, make sure you get your CPAs and your tax lawyers for when that stuff happens. Jay Shimmy, Pandora Papers. Yeah, Pandora Papers have released more. Let's go to the ICIJ.org. There we go. Investigations. Pandora Papers. Oops, forgot to bring you up on the screen here. So there was a lot yesterday that was about one sec, trying to bring you guys up here. There it is. All right, done. And get the Google Earth off of there. Oh, yeah, there we go. There was a lot yesterday about Americans, especially criminals that were, don't give me this stuff, were using offshore accounts to basically keep their wealth from their victims who earn such things through court rules, fines, whatever, and they're hiding their wealth overseas. But lots of lawmakers from various organizations, countries, and so on are listed in these things. We're talking 12 million documents of basically the world's richest people. So celebrities using it. These articles, man, they just go on and on. I think we're gonna have a new series of 4 or 5 of them every single solitary day. This stuff is nuts. Just how much money they're throwing offshore. I mean, $400 trillion of just U.S. money has been stored offshore by rich families. So when we talk about how this guy's worth $10 billion, that's how much money we know of. They probably have 20 times that in offshore accounts somewhere. It's bonkers. Uriel Ortiz, do you have an OnlyFans for your rock collection? I do not. I don't have an OnlyFans for my rock collection. Probably should someday. I don't know if I have to get back to the gym before I can start doing my OnlyFans shows for everybody. Okay. Oh, of course, the chat resets on me as always. Well, let me go back to big. Oh, dang it. I forgot to turn off the... All right. The intro is going to begin, and it's going to piss me off because I forgot to turn it off at the end of it because I just start talking. And I'm going to see how fast I can do it. 1, 2, 3. I got it. All right. Turn it off. Turn it off. Why didn't it just turn off on its own when it's done playing? I don't... It's Randy now. Resident Flea says, make your own nonprofit and donate all your money to that. That's pretty much one of the tricks of the trade right there. Make your living room into a nonprofit museum. Make your family members the board members of the museum, and then buy fancy art and lend it to your museum. It's great tax write-offs all around. There's a New York Times article about private museums. Writing off the wall next door. This is it. All right, back to scene. This article from 2015, all about these private art museums and like beautiful galleries, stuff that people set up and make their own nonprofits to avoid taxes. And it's quite incredible because you go buy a painting for $100 million at auction. You donate it to your own museum where only you and whoever you invite can appreciate it. And you lend it to that museum, and the museum gives you a huge tax write-off for lending that piece of art to their nonprofit. And then years down the road, when you want to make a bunch of money off of it because it's appreciated 10, 15% a year for however many years, you take it back to auction and sell it for $200 million and make a bunch of cash off of it. And then you just do it all over again. It's a pretty crazy system. So, yeah, rich folks... they'll buy the weirdest art and they don't care how much it costs because it's going to be a giant tax write-off for them in the end. And it's a way for them to store their wealth while being a tax write-off. So, yeah, you can make garbage. And if you take it to the right auction house, you can sell that garbage for piles. And someone's going to buy it and put that garbage in the corner of the living room specifically for a tax write-off. And you can win. All right. Yeah, Johnny says not too much money last on Treasures the 18th. I don't know if we're going to make it because the tax dollars are trickling in at this point. There's not too much coming in at the moment. Okay. What we got? Billy Illy. If most countries are in economic downturn, would our economy actually be considered crashing or just keeping up with everybody else's? I mean, I guess in the end, it's all relative, like who crashed worse. There's some countries where the way they respond, they make it worse. And sometimes if they don't respond at all, they can be better. I'm thinking of Iceland. When Iceland crashed, because they were an offshore banking center prior to the 2008 collapse, and there was also weird things where, a lot of luxury mortgages and loans for yachts and luxury vehicles are coming from banks in Iceland. Excuse me. And these banks, when the market collapsed, so did all these loans they'd given out, and the banks just folded. And the banks were like, "Oh, Iceland government, help us out." And Iceland government was like, fuck you. No, we're not going to do that. And yeah, the economy suffered for a while, but the people didn't seem to care. We have a few Icelanders in here who can jump in, but they're like, "Man, whatever." And they just went about like doing their art and reading books and doing what Icelanders do. And then the economy just spun right back up again. Then there's places like Greece, where Greece had taken out cajillions in loans to make the 2004 Olympics happen and to try and like bolster their economy, but they didn't have any of the manufacturing needed to like keep it going. So when 2008 came around and tourism collapsed, all of a sudden they owned hundreds of billions of dollars in loans, and they went for austerity because the Germans and others had lent to them like, "You must cut taxes and pay us back." And that just made things worse than if they had just gone full bore and gone otherwise. And like what Greece owed Germany is what basically Evergrande owns the rest of the world at this point. Joshua Neodow. What is the theory behind computer share? While the hype, pros and cons. Oh man, again. Excuse me. The idea of computer share is that when you buy stock with a brokerage, the ownership of that stock is actually listed, is registered with the brokerage itself. So if it's Fidelity, it's whatever the address is of Fidelity. if it's with Vanguard, whatever the address is with Vanguard. And then inside the computer system at the brokerage, they then have this pool of shares and they assign like a little pie chart who owns what inside their brokerage of that pool of shares. The agreement you have with the brokerage is that, yes, the shares are registered with them, but they are your shares. Now, when you transfer your shares into ComputerShare, you are registering them to yourself. And when they get under ComputerShare, they cannot be lent. They have to be physical, real shares with actual CUSIP numbers attached to those. And the theory behind it is if we get all the shares in the float registered with ComputerShare, then there's physically no shares that can be lent out anymore to these hedge funds. A couple of problems with that are, one, hedge funds only borrow shares last minute when they have to. The rest of the time, they're just naked selling. So they just naked sell, and they don't care. And a lot of the naked selling is being done by market makers who never, ever, ever have to do location of shares. They never have to locate any shares to naked sell. They just print and sell. But on the pro side, it can lead to possibly GameStop going, hey, there's shenanigans. You have hundreds of millions of shares trading every day of my stock or every week, and all the actual shares are registered to ComputerShare, and ComputerShare isn't selling any of those. So those are all naked shares that are being sold. I demand a recall. And then they can demand a recall, which can trigger margin calls across the board. And recalls for various people who had actually lent stock in the past. The other con is the one that I care about is, and I've been online discussions with people about this. I'm saying that, no, I'm wrong. It's $1 million. But in their fine print, they say, if you're going to sell shares, securities valued more than $100,000, you have to sit down and write them an authorization letter, and they have to verify your identity and all this stuff. So it's not some sketchy person trying to make a bunch of money off your shares. And then they go through the process of granting it and then execute your order. Now, on their system, you can set limit orders up to $1 million inside of ComputerShare. And that doesn't necessarily mean they'll be executed. Plus, you don't have the ability to make limit orders more than $1 million. So if the squeeze happens, how are you going to sell them at the actual market price that is happening during the peak of the squeeze? You might get stuck. And you still may need to go through a long, arduous, mail process to give access to be able to sell those shares anyway. So you might be left holding the bag if during MOAS, everyone who's got all these synthetic shares sell them all, and then they don't have to use your shares to replace anything. They just buy all the synthetics and close out the positions that way. So that's kind of the two sides of it. Okay, Nick Callis, can you explain the dividend thing with BBIG? Will this cause shorts to cover? That's interesting. So I think it's similar to what Black Dragon did. Let's go. Black Dragon, the stock. Black Dragon Resources. Okay, so Black Dragon's risen about 50% so far. Oh yeah, gotta go here. Seen. So Black Dragon's risen. It's been touching 0.07, which makes it basically almost double since I bought some back in August. They have billions and billions of shares out there. So this is definitely micro stock. I think I bought at 0.0004. It's been touching 0.007. So up 75% day to day, hour to hour, day to day. So it's squeezed a little bit. Let's see here. Yeah, 1 month. It's gone up quite a bit. So 6 months. Yeah. So all the movement has been basically this month. And they issued an NFT for all the shareholders who are holding as of July 30th. And so all those folks got NFTs on August 30th. I didn't start holding until after they announced that, so I didn't get any of the NFT coins or whatever they're doing. BBIG apparently is doing something similar. So let's look at So Be Big, their price is in the dollars. They hit $7 the other day. Let's see here. Yeah, September 9th, they're up at $10, and then they had bounced back up to like 7 something. So they announced that they're going to do this NFT dividend, and it's going out next Friday, I believe. I'm not sure the date you had to be holding it to get it, but somewhere in there. So they might see something similar. My guess is the price will go down, 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 down. Be shorted down until this thing finally is offered, and then we'll see what kind of things happen with it. But I don't know too much about what that NFT is. Just if it's a coin or what that they're offering. But I think with Black Dragon and Be Big is what they're trying to do is something similar to what Overstock did with their crypto dividend that they recently won that lawsuit over, where the courts were like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. You can screw the shorts over. That's the risk the shorts take. So it's a wait and see game. So I've got my shares and I'm waiting and seeing. So far, I've kind of taken a bath on it a bit. I think I bought it like 6:30, somewhere in here. And then it went up and went, woohoo, and then it went back down again. So I'm taking a bath on that. Okay, bullish. Hey, Houston, thanks for keeping us awake. Hope you kept some Shiba. Have fun in Hawaii. I was an idiot, and I sold all my Shiba on, what, Wednesday? Yesterday? What day was it? And then the price went, if I had just waited, I could have made like $5,000 tonight. Didn't wait. I think it'll go down again. It'll get pumped and dumped, and I'll buy back in, and then I'm gonna hope for that arbitrage when it moves to Robinhood, and they open up the Robinhood wallet. So that's what I'm shooting for on that. Okay, got another one. David Barney. Hey, David. Hi, Houston. Can you explain what happens to GME shares if they move to Loopring? Do we still have a squeeze? Thank you, sir. Oh, heck yeah. We got a hell of a squeeze. So the working theory at the moment, the hypothesis everyone has, is that sometime before the end of the year, GameStop's going to announce they want to remove their shares from the DTCC and into their own market, which is based on the Loopring Layer 2 network, the L2 network. And what they would do is they would mint one single NFT of all 73 million whatever shares that GameStop has. And then they would take that NFT and they'd break it into 73 million crypto coins, ERC20 coins or something similar like that. And that on the Loopring network is where you would buy your shares of NFT crypto coins. Now you cannot funge these coins. You can't make fake ones. You can't naked sell them. You can't do anything like that if it's inside this blockchain network, because the entire blockchain records who owns what and where these coins or shares, as it would be, trade. Now, if they recall their shares to move them all onto this network, only the 70 whatever million shares can move. So if there's 1 billion or more, 2 billion, 10 billion, 5 billion, whatever the number of naked shares are out there, those shares cannot move to this network, and those positions that generated those synthetic shares have to close. They have no choice. They have to delete them from existence, and it will trigger a squeeze. It has to, because if they move those 73 million shares to the Loopring network, and there's still nothing but nakeds trading back and forth on an exchange where it shouldn't exist anymore, then there's a lot of trouble. A lot of people are going to go to prison for that. So that's why the Loopring stuff might be very important. And Hunter Jackson posted a little video where he found a blog of Loopring kind of giving the little wink that we're making a whole new stock exchange. And, you know, if this is successful for GameStop moving onto this blockchain network, then I think it's very likely they could entice others to follow suit, and we could see forced squeezes happen all over the place as these folks start to move from one side to the other. So if you start to hear like little murmurs after this of, I don't know, you know, maybe some big boy, maybe Amazon to be like, you know what, we're going to move our stock over to this NFT network. I don't know if they would, but my my guess is it'd be a lot of small mid-cap stocks be like, yeah, I'm going to move over to this Loopring network. Screw you, DTCC. I've been getting boned by you guys and your naked shorting for years. I'm not going to put up with it anymore. So we might see a whole bunch of small cap and mid cap stocks make a move over if GameStop is really successful with this. And yeah, so keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Yeah, Shiba Inu, man. Oh, what was it? It was at. Oh, oops, wrong one. Coinbase. Come on, it takes forever to log into Coinbase. Shiba is Shiba dropped a whole bunch. Okay, Shiba was at like 4 zeros and a 3.7 at one point, I believe. What was it? Yeah, holy crap. Yeah, it was at 0.000037, which would have put me up like $4,500 if I just waited 2 days to sell. Oh well, it'll drop back down again. I'll buy it up some more, and then I'll carry it over for the arbitrage over on Robinhood, make a killing. That's the goal. Come on, shitcoins. Okay. All right, I haven't caught up on the chat here. I'm so far behind already. You guys always go so much faster than I can. I'm only 20 minutes behind. That's all right. I want to buy SPY post MOASH just in case brokers go bust. And I want to live off dividends anyway. But I'm scared I'll be losing my GME gains to short-term cap gains because every year I have to sell off. It's from Drew with a W at the end. I mean, you don't necessarily have to buy into SPY itself. You might be able to just buy a host of shares that SPY trades. Like, look at what they have and go, oh, let's buy all those. And just set it and forget it. Because this S&P 500 is pretty solid as it moves on. Not too much volatility in there, or not too much delta of what flux. That's the word of stocks moving in and out of there. Adam Spencer asks, "Hey Houston, are you an ape?" I think so. I'm a great ape. I'm a Homo sapien sapien. And hopefully you are too. Funko Fan 5000. Houston, is there a chance the crash will remove all value from all currency in a giant default of trust or something? I don't know. I mean, in dystopian novels and movies and TV shows and stuff, when a certain amount of the population gets vaporized, that seems to be when people don't care about cash anymore. They're more interested in like, what can I trade? You got a motorcycle? Okay, I'll give you 5 women or whatever. And they trade that way. Maybe we'll be hitting gold bars back and forth. But I don't know. I don't think currency itself will lose that much trust to collapse. I think if the U.S. defaults on its debt, the United States dollar will no longer be a standard international currency. I think there's a very real chance that the dollar just gets replaced by the euro or something, and we just trade using those, and then all of a sudden we're an also-ran currency, because the U.S. currency depends upon U.S. debt being valuable, and once U.S. debt isn't valuable anymore, then screw the U.S. dollar, move on to the next thing. One of the things keeping the U.S. dollar afloat is that there's international law saying that oil must be traded in dollars. So it gives us a lot of control over our fiat currency and forces value into it. But if we weaken ourselves by defaulting, then, all bets are off. It's going to be mayhem across the board. Sean Pa, major bank outages reported on Downdector. Down detector? Down detector. Are there? Let's go to the scene and see what's going on here. Where are the banks? Where are the banks? Where are the banks? Where are the banks? Let's user data. Outage history. Let's see what's out. WhatsApp went down again. U.S. Bank, Citi, Chase, Capital One, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Webull went down. Who else? E-Trade had an outage. Those are hours ago, though. That's quite a few banks since, well, I got 10, 11, it's my time, so Coinbase went down 920. I was having weird trying to log in on that, but it's back up. US Bank went out at 8. Citibank went out at 8. Chase went out at 8. Capital One went out at 8. Wells Fargo went out just before 8. Bank of America went out at 6. Yeah, quite a few on there. Weird. But who knows if they're still happening. I don't know. Interesting. Oh, I'm missing super chats. Travis Wright 13. Monkey butt in Houston in the morning. Nights. Yeah. Are you Abed Monkey? Or are you Troy? Get up here and tell us which one. Which one are you? Come on. I just stretched out right there. All right. Okay. You don't have to get up on your bed. You can just sit right there. You just have the little eyeballs poke up there. If you ever watch Community, watch Community. It's one of the funniest shows ever made. I've probably seen the whole series 7 times now. Nick Callis with AMC at 21% short interest and a lack of downward movement. Do you think the hedge funds are losing control? Well, the other day it was announced that something like 70% of all the U.S. bonds that have been traded recently were naked. So my guess is that these folks are starting to naked short treasury bonds like crazy, hoping that we're going to get a credit downgrade or something, and those bonds will drop in value an appreciable percentage, and they'll make up a whole bunch of capital that way. So that might be their way of getting some liquidity back into their margins there. But the thing is that AMC is reported at 21%, but it's probably shorted at 2,000, 3,000, 4,000% in actuality due to naked shorting and those weird equity swaps and stuff. So I think the hedge funds every single day are like, what can we do to survive today? And they try something new. So one of those things they're probably doing is, let's pump Shiba Inu and make that go up 500% and then dump it. I wouldn't doubt if that's the current coin they're working on. The other thing with Shiba Inu is that the guy who created it, I guess, gave like 90% to what's his butt, the Russian dude that founded Ethereum, and then that guy destroyed most of it and then gave the rest to a COVID relief fund in India. And that the group in India is finally like turning that Shiba Inu, or for the last few months, but turning that Shiba Inu into Tether coins to fund their work. And I think they just finally finished selling all those coins. So the market now is not getting flooded with the Shiba Inu coins. So that's why we saw this climb in ownership all of a sudden as folks started to FOMO on that sucker. L Dub, hey Houston, any Sears bankruptcy news? I haven't heard a thing. The price of the Sears stock is because no one can buy or sell it anymore. SHLDQ. Let's see what's in the news. It's from Seeking Alpha. Sears stock stops regular trading, but the bankruptcy case continues. So it's a couple days after their last hearing. Sears holding Chapter 11 case could continue for many more years. Oof. There's 34 stores still open. So market makers can't trade Sears anymore. So they cannot basically naked short this sucker anymore. So they're out. The export market does not include them. Yeah. And Sears is still short about $81 million in cash in order to exit bankruptcy. So they probably have to sell off some more land assets before they're done with that. What's their books here? They got $29 million in cash on hand. Oh, no, they got $10 million and $15 million in asset recovery. Yeah, they're gonna do some more work here, I think. So we'll probably see more every month or so. We'll probably see another Sears Holdings bankruptcy thing. We may be sitting on this a while until something happens. So hold on to it long term because you have no other choice because you can't sell it or do anything with it. You're stuck. You are stuck. Just like me, you are stuck with it. Mary Chang, Houston, are you bullish AF on silver? Silver and gold. If the economy just goes in the pooper, silver and gold will rocket. That's what I'm going to sell. Finish going through my big giant vats of nitric acid, precipitate out that silver, and pour myself some silver ingots and sell those suckers. Because right now it's just garbage cans full of poisonous acid that has silver diluted into it. So, dissolved into it, sorry. JD from the 80s. Government officials like David Scott will introduce legislation to get rid of tax write-offs for retail investors that became millionaires from MOAS. Well, that's not going to be very popular. David Scott's from Georgia, right? He is definitely a bought and paid for stooge for banks and big institutions. I'm not a fan of his. Resident Flea recalls take 60 to 90 days. That bites. Yeah, so I think they have to give the DTCC 90 days notice before they would remove their shares from the DTCC to move them on. So the squeeze would have to happen in that 90-day period. Like the buybacks would have to happen in order for them to be able to move just those 73 million shares over. So yeah, I think it's a 3 month heads up that they got to do. They're Resident Flea and Billy Illy. I have a lot of silver, Mary Chang. I do, because not only have I mined it, but I also recycle lots of electronics and jewelry. And so to do that, I have got to dissolve everything into acid baths. And the first bath you put it in is nitric acid. Nitric acid dissolves out silver and copper and lots of other metals and leaves the gold behind. Then you filter that into like a filter paper, suck that out, and all the gold is left behind. And then you put that gold into an aqua regia bath. It's a mixture of nitric acid and hydrochloric acid. And then that dissolves the gold. And so the old nitric acid you have just contains a whole bunch of silver, and the acid starts to turn really blue from all that silver. And to get that silver out, to make a silver oxide, I believe, you dump salt in, just salt, and then it forces the silver to precipitate out and turns into the sludge. Then there's, what's this stuff? It's a phosphate of some kind. I can't remember for the life of me what's on that label. But put this sulfate crap in there, and then that takes out the oxygen, leaves the silver behind, and then you can just melt that sucker in a kiln and have pure 0.99999 grade silver as a result. Okay. Equinox MVZ. Hey Houston, what if these investing apps crash during MOAS? Are we fudged? Yeah, probably. I would try to perhaps have the desktop open. Maybe their web application will work a lot better than like a phone app or something. Try multiple routes, but maybe they may get cyber attacked. They may crash. They may, I don't know, get margin called and have to shut down everything because as a result. I don't know. We'll be looking at that. There's so much stuff that's like out of our control and out of our power that we can know about it, but there's nothing we can do about it. Like I said before, we're just the little sucker fish holding on to the great white shark, hoping to get the bits. There's someone else who's going to be triggering action, and we're just passively waiting for our chance to go nom 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 and nibble up our little bits of flesh, and hopefully they're big giant chunks that fall into our mouths. Yeah, David Scott, Resident Flea. David Scott is out of his element, and he needs to be removed, or voted out, or primaried, or whatever. Somebody else needs to get in there because he's bought and paid for. So, screw that guy. Ideas Matters 7707. Houston, can you talk about the implications of Bank of America possibly going bankrupt? Well, if it happens like it did with Wachovia or with Washington Mutual, what happens is the federal government seizes the bank. They basically take control of everything. They just get rid of everyone, and they take control of all these assets. And they say, "Hey, who wants these assets?" And then someone like Jamie Dimon from Chase comes in and says, "I want those assets." And the FDIC says, "How much you want to pay for these, $1 trillion in assets?" And Jamie Dimon's like, "Not enough." And then the FDIC says, "Oh, thank you. Here you go." And they give Jamie Dimon piles of assets for pennies. I think he got $300 billion in assets out of Washington Mutual for a little more than $1 billion. Not a bad deal. So then all the Washington Mutual branches got new signs on them that say Chase, and everyone got new Chase debit cards and whatever. And they all became Chase customers. Same thing with Wachovia. I had an auto loan at the time through Wachovia, and then all of a sudden I had to write my checks to Wells Fargo because Wachovia had gotten gobbled up after they'd been seized by the FDIC. As far as their liabilities are concerned, those liabilities, I think, get dumped on the federal government at that point. And who knows where that goes, because Citadel, there's like $57 billion in liabilities of margin that Bank of America and Merrill Lynch have, bestowed upon Citadel that they're now responsible for. And I don't know what will happen with that all that money that they've lent to Citadel, if Citadel eats it, or whoever, maybe if another bank gets Bank of America, they can be like, "Hey, Citadel, give us our money." I'm not sure exactly how that'll work. Lunar Swine, did you know Donald Trump's uncle John was chosen by the FBI to assess the work found in Tesla's apartment upon his death? Talk about deep state. Yeah, his uncle was a nuclear physicist, I think. Definitely had the brains of the family on that one. Yeah, I'd heard about that. Joseph McDonald, thanks for super chat there. Sam Strayer, why such a late stream? Because my week got turned upside down because I'm going to Hawaii to take someone on a tour of Kilauea last minute. And so I had to get a bunch of stuff done, and I had to do it today because I'm leaving on Saturday. So very last minute. So I'm going back to Hawaii. Hopefully I'll have a chance to stream a day or two while I'm out there. Not sure exactly how my schedule is going to work. But I am going in a helicopter for the first time ever, which I'm very excited about because I've never been in one before. And I got my fancy... So... come here. Oh, my dirty-ass camera bag. So... when the COVID first hit, I had a great time just spending the same 50 cents over and over and over and over again on Wish. Because every once in a while, they'll have something on there that is like, should be worth a lot more money, but for some reason is only 50 cents. And if you're like the first person to say, "I want that," you'll get it, but they'll always take your 50 cents from you, and then like a week or two later, be like, sorry, and then and then give your money back. But I got this sweet 420 to 800 lens off Wish for 20 cents. For 50 cents, sorry, with 25 cents shipping. So I've been stoked. Hope I can use it in the helicopter and get good close-ups of the lava. But yeah, it works. For 50 cents. I love it. And I'm going to try and take cool photos and videos, if I can, of the lava lake on Kilauea in my first helicopter ride ever. Maybe I'll like tape my phone to my chest and I'll do a live stream or something while I'm in the helicopter, because I've never been in one before. I'm so excited. And I've been told that I've been told by people who are helicopter wary that it's the most unnatural feeling ever. So I'm excited to I'm going to try and convince the pilot to do a doors off tour if I can, so I can lean out the helicopter and take pictures, because why not? Yeah. Someone just sent me a message to say that the debt ceiling just got suspended. Is that true? What's popping up? News. That's 5 hours ago, 1 hour ago, 37 minutes ago. This just says that debt talks spill into Thursday. 1 hour ago, Democrats and Republicans agreed a short-term debt limit increase. So it looks like we may have an agreement for a short-term one. But I don't know if they've voted on anything yet. Nothing popping up on here quite yet. So let's see. It sounds like the agreement might be till December. That way, Mitch McConnell can play his role as the Grinch, I guess, at Christmas time and be like, screw you, Whoville. I'm going to destroy the global economy just in time for Christmas. And that's what I look forward to. Monkey dog. Come on, get up here. Come on. Get up. Come on. I know the cat was teasing you, but quit staring at me. It weirds me out. Go over there. Go somewhere. Hello, Chob44. Hello, do you know anything about Apern? Not a thing, but man, I'll have to look them up. It's Apron. $ Control V. Advanced Practice Registered Nurses? How does that sound? Is that a nursing staffing solution place? Oh, I know nothing about them. Not a clue. Looks like a traveling nursing agency, but top of the morning, they're sipping on piss. You folks. Oh, Sean Paw says I missed super chat. Sorry. Smirks, there we go. Sorry about that. Houston, did you see what Boss Blunt shared on Twitter a little bit ago? A bunch of major banks are having outages since 10:30 p.m. Yeah, somebody just posted that. And let's see if those... where was I when I was looking at that? Which outage detectors? Who else is having? Doesn't seem like anything new since WhatsApp had an outage about half an hour ago. So, are they still down? Like if I go to wellsfargo.com, will it show up? That's still there. That pops up. So there's those short little outages. Yeah. Sorry I missed your super chat there, Smirks. I get talking and then they just sort of... I wish they would just stay up there until I click on them. But they just disappear while I'm being long-winded and then I miss them and I'm so sorry. But thank you for pointing that out to me. Whoever pointed that out to me. Okay. Arm 2. Do you think the MOAS will happen this year or until next year? Well, I think if GameStop launches their NFT prior to the end of the year, then it's happening this year. That's my thinking. I don't think there's a way for the short hedge funds to escape this if that's the case, and just get it. Like, I think they're gonna have to buy it all up. So yeah. Javel Clay, Houston, what percentage of shorts covered during GameStop squeeze? Probably none of them. I doubt any of them. Well, I think some of them covered, but they never closed. Covering is different than closing. Closing position means you went out there, either deleted the synthetic from existence by buying it, or you bought a real share and replaced that synthetic. They weren't doing that. What they were doing was they were using the reg show loophole, saying, "Hey, I can identify where some of these shares are, and we can use that to take care of this if we absolutely have to." And that allowed them to cover. So they never actually closed their positions. The liability is still out there. A lot of what they did was they bought deep in the money puts and calls. They bought puts and calls all over the place. They called their buddies and were like, "Hey, do you have shares? Cool. Can I say I can borrow them at some point?" The buddy's like, "Whatever." And what they did with a lot of those calls is they have no intention of ever exercising them at all. None. But they will sit on them and sit on them and sit on them and sit on them. And then they can say that they covered their position by having all those puts and calls. And, they don't have the money. They don't have the money to actually exercise those things. But they can keep them in their back pocket for that reg show loophole. And then sell them if needed to raise some cash if there's some positive delta on the price. Any update on Metamaterial? It's from DM. Yeah, the preferred shares from Torchlight changed names today to MMTLA or something. People are speculating as to what that means. Is there going to be a new company spun off with those shares, or what? Why did that name change happen? So, FYI, I got about half an hour. My roommate is flying in from Boston, and I got to go pick him up at the ferry terminal to take him home in half an hour. And I got to do these good deeds because he has to wake up but early on Saturday and take me to the ferry terminal so I can go to the airport. See these favors we do for each other. So I got about half an hour, and then I got a jet and go pick up a tired traveler. Joseph McDonald says, "Hey, Houston, what are your thoughts on the metaverse?" Kind of sitting there waiting to figure out what happens with these preferred shares because they just changed names. And they also just scored like $6 million in contracts via their new acquisition of nanotech security for doing currencies for some countries' money. So that's a good deal. They're making money now. And they've got stuff happening, apparently, rumor has it, with Tesla. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but George and Elon apparently know each other. And in the industrial park where Metamaterial is based, Tesla, right next door, opened up a research development office that just happens to share a lobby and everything with them out in Halifax. So, if there's one thing the Canadians are really, really good at is sovereign wealth funds to spur investment. They are fantastic at it. And if I were president or powerful senator, I would be forcing the government to use sovereign wealth to invest into funds like this to like these Silicon Valleys with Sand Hill venture capital guys. I would do something like that on the government level to spur investment across the United States into tech. The Canadians do it marvelously, and they will recruit people from outside the country to come into Canada and set up in various provinces. And, you might not want to go live in Halifax or Saskatchewan, but if they're like, "Hey, we'll give you $10 million to start your business here," you might be like, "Okay, I'll do it." And, they do that. They do it so well. They do it with television shows and movies and stuff to the point where it's it is remarkable. I when I made my geology TV show, which I still hope someone is going to pick up someday and want to have me travel all over the world smashing rocks on TV, I go to the Banff World Media Festival in Alberta, and I meet these producers, and it's kind of like summer camp for adults. You just find this posse and you hang out with them and you party for 3 or 4 days and you meet weird people who do awesome things. And I went to dinner one night with people from like 4 different production companies. And at dinner, they're all Canadian, and they're discussing like, oh, hey, I'm making this TV show on Vancouver Island. What do you have in Ottawa that I can use for various tax breaks? And they're talking, and they get to the point where like, okay, I get 40% tax break by filming in Vancouver. I can get a 40% tax break by doing my sound in Saskatchewan. I can get a 55% tax break by, doing my editing in Toronto. I can get a whatever, and they will make this one TV show and they'll parse it out to like 4 or 5 different production companies around the country. And eventually the $30 million that they had raised for their TV show, they get 90% of it back in government subsidies. And so whatever you invest into a television show before it ever airs, you ever sell it to a network, you get 90% of your money back because of these tax rules and tax breaks. So, that's why you see so many movies and TV shows where like, here I am in the gritty streets of New York, and you just look at the skyline of Vancouver. It's it's crazy, and they make a killing at it, an absolute killing. So the United States is really bad at that. There's a few states that do a good job. Georgia, North Carolina for a while, Alaska. A lot of reality shows are filmed in Alaska because of the tax breaks up there. There's a bunch in like Nevada, but a lot of states don't do a very good job doing that stuff. And, I don't know how I got on that tangent. How did I get on that tangent? I was talking about, sovereign wealth funds and how well Canadians do that stuff. The entire reason metamaterial exists is because the Nova Scotia government was like, that's a cool idea. Here's piles of money. Keep your company headquartered here. Without that investment of the Nova Scotia government, metamaterials would never exist. So they have a good eye for that stuff, and they have these little incubators, and they make sure they bring in business professionals to help people that might be a scientist and not know how to run a company, and then become successfle. So that's Innova Corp, I think is the name, Innova Corp. Let me make sure. Innova Corp. Whoops. Is that the right one? Yes. I'm going to put this up here. These guys. So these guys are the baddies from the Nova Scotia government who invest in all these little companies. And so they got Metamaterials exiting their nurturing little incubator and saw 35 times return on investment for the Nova Scotia taxpayers. So right on, right? They've got a whole bunch of them. What companies they have here? They got all these companies that they've invested in, and they are trying to build into companies will eventually go public and make the citizens of Nova Scotia a bunch of money that they can then use to pay for schools and highways and whatever else. Look at the boatload of these things. Look at that. So, yeah, we're behind the curve on in the United States on this. Kyle Griffith, if GME launches the NFT via Loopring, do you think they would create new wallets for everyone and send it to them, or how would we get it? That I've been trying to ponder. Like, would your brokerage be like, hey, here's a code for you to sign up with Loopring and get under their wallet, or would the brokerage be attached to the wallet? That's something I'm really curious to see exactly how they do it. Yeah. And if the squeeze is in such a way that prior to them moving everything to the wallet, the price goes absolutely nuts, and a whole bunch of us, sell because the prices are hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars a share, and we're like, we're done, we're out. What How do they do the accounting on that? I don't know. It's gonna be crazy to look at and figure out exactly. I'm really curious about how they're gonna do this, and I'm sure they've got these geniuses that they've hired away from all these other blockchain groups working at GME, sitting around asking these exact same questions. Like, okay, we can design this NFT, but how are we going to get everybody to use the wallet that this NFT is on? Because a lot of folks who invest in our company are just fuddy-duddies who are used to brokerages and have no idea how Loopring works. Like, what do we do to train them to pay attention to this stuff? It'll be crazy. Tom R, watching me from Germany. Oh, thanks, man. Thank you for jumping in there. Houston, don't drop your camera. Well, it will be interesting. I have it hooked up to the NFC on my phone, so I think for a while, if it's recording and I'm dropping it, my phone will record it. So I got that going for me. Here I am. Thoughts on marriage, and do you think you'll ever get married? I came close. Yeah, sad story. The woman I was going to marry ended up getting killed by a drunk driver about 10 years ago. So 11 years ago now. And have not come close again since. But thoughts on marriage, I'm sure I may find somebody again out there who spurs the fires in me. I don't know. I don't really actively go out and look. I let them come to me. But it's yeah, thoughts of marriage, get married if you want to, but don't do it until, you're sure, I guess. Don't feel pressured into marriage. Just make it with someone that you are happy to see. Too many people I know are in relationships where if their loved one calls them, they go, ugh, and then they don't want to at all talk to them. And when you think of your significant other, it should make you feel tingly and warm inside and loved, not dread. There should not be existential dread when you think of the person that you're in a relationship with. If you have that feeling, get out of that relationship. You don't be in any relationship where you dread talking to the other person. That's doomed. And you don't want to get married and then, just have this resentful, spiteful boomer marriage where, like, why'd you ever get married if you hate your spouse? I don't get it. Okay. Enjoy the Hayride, don't live stream. Well, if I posted my chest, then you guys just see what I see, right? Flight Guy 99, Houston, if Seattle has a major earthquake, what will happen to the downtown since there's a fault under it? Well, it depends on the earthquake. Let's go to the Google Earth. Turn off the Chrome there. Go over to Google Earth on this side. There's that weird thing in Chicago. Somehow I put a pin there. Why is there a pin there? Okay. Oh, everything's upside down. Let's get north facing. Okay. So, depends on the earthquake. There's actually lots of faults that run in and around the Puget Sound. The most recent big earthquake we had was the Nisqually Fault, which runs through the Nisqually Delta down here by Olympia. So the Nisqually River comes out and goes through. I think this is the Nisqually Delta here. Comes out here. Oh, sorry, this is Nisqually Delta. I was a little too far north. Comes out here. And the Nisqually Fault was a deep, deep fault. It was like 48 miles underground and gave us a 7-point-something earthquake that lasted for about 30 seconds or a minute. It rumbled for quite a while. I was 20? Yeah, and I was going to school, living at home. And when the earthquake happened, both my mom and I, we could only stand in doorways. So I stood in a doorway of the bathroom, and she stood in the doorway of her room. And I watched her, like, go above me, go below me, go above me, go below me for like a minute. That was pretty wild. That's the biggest earthquake I've ever been in. The second biggest was in fall of '06. There was a 7 point something and then a 6 point something triggered from the rift zone in Kilauea that rumbled the Big Island. It was like 7 in the morning on a Sunday, and my roommates and I were like, "Oh my goodness, that was like a giant minute-long earthquake." And we all got on our computers to try and see what the seismometers at the volcano observatory had. And just as I was logging the computer, the second one happened, and all the power went out everywhere. So I didn't get to read it until later. But those are big earthquakes. Anyway, Seattle. There's lots of faults. The Seattle fault is the one that would probably be the most damaging. I've talked about that on here before. It's a fault that basically runs from the Olympic Mountains to the west, under Kitsap County, under the south end of Bainbridge Island, where I live, under downtown Seattle and where the football stadium is, out to the Cascade Mountains to the east. And the last time this earthquake triggered, it's a surface fault. So the earthquake wouldn't be deep underground and be muffled by a lot of earth. It would happen right at the surface, so everything would just get demolished. But it could make a 7 to 8.0 happen, 45 seconds to a minute 30 of an earthquake at the surface, and it would level almost everything. We're talking probably 60% or more of the bridges down, tunnels broken and flooded, tsunamis galore throughout the Puget Sound and in places like Lake Washington. There was a tsunami that formed in Lake Washington from a landslide that made a 600-foot wave 900 years ago when the Seattle fault last went. And then there was stuff like in the south end of Whidbey Island, huge landslides there, huge landslides in Indianola, and those just generated giant waves throughout the Puget Sound. And this whole thing, this section right here of the south end of Bainbridge, lifted up 30 feet out of the water, generated its own tsunami go another direction. So if a Seattle fault quake happens, Seattle's screwed. I'm super screwed because I live on an island that's got a 70-year-old bridge and a 70-year-old ferry terminal. And tsunamis go through, everything's destroyed, bridge probably collapses. And we're so expensive to live here that none of the first responders can afford to live on this island. So it's going to be, they all live off island elsewhere where it's cheaper. And so we're going to be left with like 2 police officers and 3 firefighters probably handling this whole place just burning down and old people dying of heart attacks and whatever else. So we're screwed. But at least my dad has a sailboat, so maybe we can sail somewhere if it's not destroyed by a tsunami. But the last time there was a tsunami in Puget Sound was in 1912. So this is Port Madison. I grew up actually in a little log cabin right there. And Port Madison was the county seat of Slaughter County, which later became Kitsap County, prior to Washington becoming a state. So this is actually like a territorial capital when Oregon, Washington was one giant territory in the west. And at the head of the bay was one of the largest sawmills in the entire world at the time. And there was a landslide these cliffs are about 50 feet to 100 feet tall along the shoreline here. And there was a landslide that splashed into that and then brought a 10 to 12 foot tsunami into Port Madison and wiped out a whole bunch of buildings that were in here. Yeah, so interesting. So this little island, this is Treasure Island. It's actually an ancient Indian burial ground. The natives, they would spend time on Bainbridge, but they didn't put any settlements here. It was kind of like a sacred place. And they would bury their dead on Treasure Island. But in 2003, Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, I guess, bought the island and were building their dream home on it when Brad made Mr. and Mrs. Smith and all the things with Angelina Jolie happened. And I went to see, what was it? I went to the little movie theater on the island. I went to see, I think, Fahrenheit 9/11. I think what it was. And Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston sat like 2 seats in front of me at the movie theater. And that was right before all that drama in the tabloids happened. How did I get talking about Brad Pitt? Earthquakes. So, yes. Earthquakes can really fuck our shit up. If it happens to be one of these local faults that run under the city, yeah, it will destroy lots of things. If it's the big giant one that happens from the subduction zone out here, then while that earthquake could last 5 to 10 minutes and be a 9.0 or greater, most of the damage is going to happen in the lightly populated coast. Well, they'll get hit with tsunamis for sure. But if it happens in the wintertime, you don't have too much of vacation populations out here. In the summertime, there's, hundreds of thousands of more people that are in vacation homes and in hotels and stuff up and down the Pacific coast. That could cause a lot greater loss of life than if the earthquake happens in the winter. But Seattle is, 150 miles from the possible epicenter. So while there'll be lots of destruction simply because the earthquake will go on and on and on and on and on and on and on, due to the sheer distance, the impact wouldn't be as great as if Seattle was on the actual coast itself, where like Aberdeen or Ocean Shores or Long Beach are. The Oregon coast has a lot more tourism, so these cities may have a lot more trouble with those big quakes as well. But yeah. So there you go. There's some earthquake news for you. Oh shit! I got 10 minutes. 10 minutes, and I got to bail. Grand D, how many ounces of silver would be good to have in the event of the economy crashing? Well, that depends on how much money you need. Let's go to the calculator. Calculator is on. Turn the Google Paint off. There we go. Calculator. All right. So, ounce of silver right now is like, what, $22? So, you got to figure out how much money you need. So, say you need $100,000 to make it through the economy collapsing, right? So, let's do $100,000 divided by 22. You're going to need 4,500 ounces of silver at current prices. Now, granted, economy collapses, the price of silver is probably going to double or more. So maybe half that if you want to get close to $50 an ounce for silver. So you're looking at 2,250-ish ounces of silver. That'd probably do it. Yeah, that's probably what you need. Gold-wise, you need 100 ounces, 50 to 100 ounces at current prices to match that. So well, that's a lot smaller. 100 ounces is, like, what, 7-8 pounds? You can hold 7 or 8 pounds. That is a lot of pounds. That is, let's see here. Let's do 4,500 ounces divided by the 12 troy ounces to a pound. You're looking at 375 pounds of silver. That's really hard to lug around. And you need a really big safe to hold that. So, yeah, with gold, you'd only need like 50 ounces, which is what, 6 pounds? Oh, 4 pounds. Sorry, 4 pounds. So easier to hold 4 pounds of gold than it is 347 pounds of silver. So you got to think about it that way. That's why a lot of people like have gold coins in their safe deposit boxes and stuff, because they're always paranoid about those things. And gold coins get you like an extra 5% on the value of the gold when dealing, because they have intrinsic value for collectors as well. But I get all my gold from mining and recycling. So I just have Houston-made ingots. But man, lots of people ask about gold and silver in here. Yeah, I mean, if the economy collapses, what follows is a big buy into gold and silver during that period, and the price spikes like crazy. Every time the market goes down, weeks later, the price of gold and silver go through the roof. So, I mean, great thing to do if you win a MOAS, perhaps invest in some gold mutual funds or silver ones and ride that wave another 50% higher. Can't hurt. I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. I'm just a guy who has a safe deposit box with some gold and silver in it. All right, Dr. Stonk says, ask for auto rotation from the helo pilot. I was Navy air crew. Trust me. I have no idea what that means, and I will ask him and see what he says. Yeah, Squid Game. Squid GME. Oh, I see what you did there. Evergrande, Fantasia, and Sicknick all failing. How many more dominoes need to fall before U.S. is affected? Probably will come to exactly how long it is until they can no longer count on the income of the interest payments on those bonds that they bought. So, I mean, if, BlackRock is set up for the $43 billion in bonds from Evergrande to mature over 15 or 30 years, they might not feel the pinch immediately, but they probably likely use those bonds to trade other deals for margin and doing things with other deals. So if the value of those bonds just evaporate, then they may have a hard time meeting liquidity requirements for trades that they do. Ghost in transit, places to retire post MOAS. Depends on how rich you are, I guess. Let's go to the Google Earth and look at the Earth. Okay, so there's their little blue ball floating in space. Some people, they want tropics, so they're going to find some place where it's warm, and if they're super duper 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 rich, they might not care where they go, and they might just go, to some fancy haven in the Caribbean or Cyprus or Monaco or Tahiti or something. Other folks who didn't get super duper rich, but they got just rich enough, might want their money to go further. They might go to like Puerto Vallarta or Puerto Vallarta. Where's Sayulita? Sayulita's, a lot of people I know retired to Sayulita, somewhere along here. They might go to, I have two friends that do tech jobs. They can work from anywhere in the world, and they moved to Malaysia. And, for $35,000 in Kuala Lumpur, they bought a really nice condo, and the condo comes like with spa and all sorts of stuff, and they live there and they're loving it. They're loving and living in Malaysia, and their dollar goes a lot further. I don't know. I plan on spending my winters skiing and my summers on the beach, so hopefully both. Do it all. Go to New Zealand and do it all in one day. I don't know. Yeah. Manifest density. Airport. Yes, I gotta go pick up my friend. It's 11 o'clock. I'll be doing a late night show on Friday because I teach during the day. So, yeah, I'll pick you guys up then. I gotta go to Big Houston so I can give you the good send off. And maybe, I don't think I'll have a chance to do anything Twitch until I get back. So I'll see you on Twitch in like a week or more. And I'm going to try and do some shows while I'm in Hawaii and see what we get there. All right, everybody. Thanks for jumping in late night. Now, some of you are just waking up because you're Euro folks. And the rest of you are up too late, so go to bed. I go pick up my friend and do the outro. Bye-bye.